Samantha from Soltera Creative. This channel is all about art things, and art stuff. Today I'm going to talk about a few quick promoting tips. I wanted to make this more so for the folks who are like, hey, this whole marketing thing is super overwhelming. So this is like a super summary of just marketing and things that you can do if you're just starting out and you have no clue what you are doing in terms of marketing. So let's just jump right into it. Ooh. I don't know what that was. This is kind of a hot topic for a lot of artists and creators that are attending someone else's event, whether that be a pop-up, an art show, whatever it is. And I've heard two sides of this argument. It's that every event or coordinator should just do everything, all the legwork with marketing. And on the other hand, all artists should market for themselves and bring out their own crowd. And I've been on both ends. I've been like an event coordinator and an artist. So while I do agree with the sentiment that the event coordinator should just do all the legwork, I choose to go by assumption that I am bringing out my people to come out and see me, right? I'm trying to make myself popular so people can come and buy from me. And that's just my own personal take on it. I know that, like, especially when we're first beginning, we're wanting to get to know more people, want to be able to do all those things. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's your business and you should care about your own business, right? I think that when we're in these spaces, it works better when we all work in community. So I think that is an important aspect. Like, yes, an event coordinator should do everything in their power to bring out people, but I also feel like as artists, we want to make sure that we get a little something out of this, right? The other thing is event coordinators are human, and unless they've been in this industry for several years, it's more likely that they're bound to make mistakes. And on top of that, their reputation might not be as known, but it might be something that aligns with your values. And I can make a separate video on that. Just let me know in the comments below. If you are the type of person that's like, no, I just want the event organizer to do all the work, then that means that you have to sign up for those particular shows and that's it. But the reality is that a lot of artists, especially emerging artists, are going to be doing a lot of small pop-ups and small art shows, DIY art shows, and just overall like really moving the underground scene. I think that is true for most artists, or at least the grand majority. A lot of us are not going to be in like those gallery spaces where there's a gallery owner that basically finds you sales, which is, if that is what you want to do, be my guest, but this is probably not the video for you. And honestly, these small pop-ups are what made me and what allowed my other business to grow. The things that I've noticed about those small pop-ups is that those event coordinators probably has a limited following, and it is depending on you as the artist to be able to connect with other people and like bring them back and such. Even if you don't have a following, it is a good way to get to know other people. And then over time, as you commit to these small pop-ups, you bring in your people. Again, this happened to me over the course of the years, and I genuinely believe that you as the artist should feel some responsibility for the art shows that you are partaking in with the marketing. Of course, you're gonna have collectors, you're gonna start growing you're gonna start getting a following, and you're gonna have collectors that want to buy your stuff, like especially the new stuff. And it takes time. You might not see it at the first art show, but I do think that you have some responsibility. Your people are more likely to buy things from you versus somebody who's just showing up to see what's going on. And they might like your stuff, they might not, and great if they do, not so great if they don't. Just because there's a lot of people doesn't mean that they're gonna buy from you. And you're just more likely to sell when you invite your following, your fans. And I mean, this is true mostly for those events that are on the smaller side. Large festivals, especially ones that have been around for several years, are more like, your sales are more likely to reflect like just random people and bring you new faces. So I really like festivals for that reason. Anyways, I like to think of promoting as a passive or active act, and I'm going to go over passive first and then active. So for passive promoting, I think of anything that's like very low energy. So the first one is posting on your social medias, and usually last minute posts. I hate this type of marketing because it's very low effort. Nobody's going to come. Like, if that one person that happened to be there at the right time might show up, great, but honestly, it's a lazy way of marketing. It's not actually marketing, it's just you posting something. If we had like millions of followers and we were super popular on social media, like think of the biggest artist you know that is not within, like, that has like 500k plus subscribers and stuff. Yeah, they can get away with that because if like 1% of those people like see that post, great. And let's say 1% or like 50% of those 1%, they're gonna get quite a bit of people coming out, and it makes a good amount of money, especially if you have that much popularity. But for most people, like if I see it from a small artist that I do enjoy, last minute posts, if let's say 1% of your feed and you only have 100 followers, that's one person. That's one person seeing your post, and that doesn't even mean that they're gonna show up. I go by the rule of thirds, like a third of the people that you invite are gonna show up. Yeah, so a third of one person means like you have 33% chance that will go to your art show. Another way to promote is casually mentioning that you have an art show in conversations. Now this one I feel like, yeah, I gotta have this art show. Yeah, it's in the city, and just waiting for that person to like maybe ask you. I think it's a valid way of bringing it up if it's like somebody you don't know, but it's very passive. It's not like you're being like, hey, I would love for you to go to this art show. And honestly, like, I think this is a much more effective method than just posting something on social media and letting it there and posting it last minute. It is a passive way of doing it, and it's completely valid. If you want to do that, go ahead, by all means, right? The third way of passive marketing is dropping off some flyers at your local whatever. You're like just kind of dropping them off, not really putting them up, but just dropping them off. I consider this more of a passive way of marketing because it's not like you're engaging with like a ton of legwork, if that makes sense. It might be a lot of walking, I don't know, but it's still like you're not necessarily like flying like on the entire street, so like every 50 feet somebody sees the same advertisement, and I don't know how legal that is. So anyways, like it is a passive way, and I think this is a pretty cool way. I've like stopped by and look at those cork boards in coffee shops to see what's up, and if something catches my attention, then I'm like, okay, let me take a picture, maybe I'll go. So that is another way of passive marketing, and I think it's, again, completely valid. The fourth way of passive marketing is letting the host take care of marketing and then doing nothing. Now, like I said, I personally feel that artists should all have personal responsibilities, but I understand if you just let the host take care of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the event doesn't go well. When I do those smaller events, it's like I'm kind of depending on you, and I try to keep the cost low for you, or free, right? For you to come in and show your work. I kind of want you to, the heater, Susan, I'm sorry, live with it because I'm not editing this. So yeah, it is a completely valid way, but at the same time, don't be surprised on the turnout of the event, because if, let's say there's 5 artists and all 5 of you decide that, then you went from like potentially having this event that has 50 plus people, just assuming that each person invited enough people where, 10 people show up per person, or even 5, like 25 people, I think is a good turnout. It's like, if 3 of those people buy from you, that could make your sales like for the night, and that's fine, especially for a small pop-up. That's pretty good. So I feel like you lose out on potential if all of you don't put in the legwork. Of course, like that is a completely fine way of doing it if it's a larger festival or a larger art show. And by larger, I mean like if it is a community event that for a fact people come out to, or it is an event that happens within a large city and that person has like all these connections or whatever, that is like a completely fine way of doing it. But again, I still think you should put in a little bit of like grit into it, you know? But that's just me. We're gonna switch over to actively promoting. Now this one's a little bit, not a little bit, this one is more vigorous than just passively marketing. And I genuinely think that if you implement even 2 of these ways of marketing, it's more likely that you're going to have a successful show. The very first one, and it's probably the one that I recommend the most, like you should be doing this every single time you have an event, contacting people one-on-one, whether it is texting them, saying like, hey, I would like you to come out, or calling them up being like, hey, I'd love for you to come out, but like really engaging with that person in conversation and bring them out. The way I've been navigating art shows now that I've been like doing it for over 5 years is that I'm doing less. I think less is more because I want to do this type of marketing. If I plan something once, like I don't even do them once a month, like every other month, for example, so 6 shows per year. And even that for me is questionable. Like I kind of just want to do 3. I want to make sure that everybody I know knows that I'm going to be out here. They're my parties, especially art galleries. They're my parties. Like I want people to come out and be like, hey, come hang out. There's wine, there's free food, there's this. It's not just like a selling game. It's like, hey, I just want you to be here in my presence and like celebrate this like moment with me. And I feel like this is the single most effective way of getting people out to your event, especially group shows. I swear I want every single artist that has ever done small pop-ups to just do this, because let's say it is a small art show of 10 people, of 10 artists, and let's say every single one of those 10 artists did this and they contacted 100 people, right? And we go by the rule of thirds. It's likely that 30 of those people that you invite are going to come out, assuming that you don't do art shows that frequently. So there is that. And I cannot stress it enough. This is the best way to market. It is my favorite way of marketing. Little hearts around me, right? So now I'm going to give you the second one, which is building the hype on all your social media. Now, it might sound like your passive way of posting, but this is as intense as calling people one-on-one. Like you are posting about this event every single day, every other day, in between posts. Like you're doing it in different ways. You're either posting on your main feed, you're putting it on your stories, you're doing it on TikTok. Like you're really hyping up this event and you are making new content to gear towards your audience. And this could work not only for the people you know, but the people you don't know. And you have to make sure that this is consistent. It doesn't matter. And using the particular app's features, super helpful. But just making sure that like whatever your app is, and like especially if you have a lot of followers, engaging with your followers and reminding them we're in a fast-paced society. People are gonna forget what you told them 2 minutes ago. Like they're on the go, okay? So then this brings me to my next point, making sure that your following is on your newsletter. We can't curse. And actively focusing on that and growing that list. Now, I made a whole video on why email lists are important. I just want to stress this and take it home in this video. I'm going to keep it short, but if you want to see why it's important, it's right here, baby. You want to make sure that people are in the know, like especially those people who want to know everything about you. Email list. An email list is the perfect way to make sure that these people get a letter. Essentially, that's you sending a letter to them, a personal message, whatever you want to think of it as, to their mailbox. So they're going to wake up at 9 a.m. being like, oh, I'm going to check my email. And let's say your beautiful email that you set up perfectly and engagingly shows up in their mailbox. And they're like, oh, so-and-so is going to have an event. And it makes it easy because you can just add it to their Google Cal, where they just click a button and adds a reminder. Boom. You just had more people come out and support you at your event. So This one is a very active way of doing it because it's not something that you just start doing when you know you have an art show. This is an ongoing thing. This is marketing. When you think of email lists and you think of marketing, you're not just thinking of like, okay, what's my next event? You're thinking of like the grand scheme of things. What is the goal of you putting this all out there? Anyways, I'm gonna let that one go because I could say more. The other active way of doing it is making sure that regardless of what you do, you promote as soon as possible. As soon as you know you're in that show, you are going to do it immediately. You find out, you get the email, post like, hey, I'm gonna be in so and so show, like come out. You start immediately. Like, it is not something that you wait on. Like, you do not wait last minute to promote it. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I do shows every weekend, and we can talk about that in another video. Let me know in the comments below. You know that it could be overwhelming. It could be a lot, especially if you have a lot of shows. But I'm gonna pose a question to you, and I just want you to think about it, and we could talk about it in another video. Just let me know. Why are you doing so many shows? And can you successfully put attention on all those particular shows? I can't hear you. But I want you to consider that, and I want you to consider like, hey, if I can't focus on these particular shows, maybe I'm doing too many. No sabo. But so let's just tie this into a neat little package. Is one way better or worse? Not necessarily, but it is way more effective to do active marketing and promoting actively. And it is more effective if you do a combination of these things, especially if you who's listening is just a participant in the show. I think really relying on your own personal like marketing is what's gonna help make this event successful. So that being said, I say all this because I've been a vendor, I've been an artist at an art gallery, I've been an event coordinator. Whatever it is, I have seen what makes a show successful, what makes a show not successful. But I've always personally left happy. I know not everybody does, because I make sure that I bring out my people, regardless of like if this event organizer is known or not. I'm ensuring that the turnout of the event is great for me. And I will leave you with that. Let me know if there's anything you want to talk about, and make sure to stay hydrated. Bye!